Welcome back to my channel, fellow gardeners. Today I thought let's talk about the aloe vera, and it's only because this week I had some aloe vera. I had a lot of aloe vera around the garden, and I sort of never really thought about it, and then I thought to myself, I must do an episode on aloe vera, but where did I keep them? I eventually found them, but because they had been sitting there and I've got a lot of foliage around, this is the result of my aloe vera. When they don't get sun, they actually become very lanky, tall, weak. And then I thought, no, let me solve this problem, do an episode, and then I can divide the rest of my aloe vera and also figure out what I want to do with this. So welcome back, and my name is Alice, I'm the Red Soil Gardener. Let's just talk about this plant and see if we can sort it out. Now, the aloe vera is actually a very interesting plant. It all started off in the Middle East and it has completely spread worldwide. Here in East Africa, we actually do, and like in India and other countries, we do look at it as a medicinal plant. Everyone should have an aloe vera in their garden. Now, why I say this is that I've had two experiences. Is that the first one is I got quite badly burnt on my thigh, and my daughter ran out and got some aloe vera and she applied it constantly for 3 days, and my burn actually, it healed very quickly. And also I've had incidences with the dogs, is that one of my dogs did have like an eczema attack, and I'd taken it to so many vets and nothing came, it wasn't conclusive. But then what my gardener said is, Mama, why don't you try to use aloe vera? And we did it. We'd wash him and then just rinse him out with the gel in that spot. And he completely, it was amazing. So I do believe in aloe vera. I think everyone should have it in their garden, and I think it does have medicinal properties. Do go and check those channels that do talk about it, because I'm not an expert, but I totally do recommend you get one for your garden. Now, the thing about aloe veras is that they're succulents, and they actually grow in very dry, hot places, and there are many varieties. I've seen amazing varieties, especially in South Africa when my daughter was studying there, and the whole of one highway, Port Elizabeth, actually had aloe veras lining it. And I remember one time I had arrived and it was the aloe flowering season, and it was spectacular. So they do also flower. If they get adequate sun, they will flower. But the problem is that sometimes we have them as indoor plants, and if they don't get that sufficient sun, is that indoor plants will not flower. Yes, now, again, going back to this beautiful aloe vera, it is a succulent. Now, we know about succulents. Succulents are basically survivors, and it's also because they store water in their leaves. Now, the thing about aloe vera, which as a succulent, is that if you do have an aloe vera plant in your garden or you forget to water it, it can actually survive for a long time because it'll live off the water in its leaves. Now, the thing about aloe vera, as we cut it, and this is what we're talking about, the medicinal, it's all about the gel. And this is the gel that is in there. And so for many people is that what they actually use is, as I remove this, just like that, is that this gummy bit is what you do, is that when you do have like a sunburn, just wipe it on your skin, or in my case where you had a burn, is just take the gel and lightly wipe it. So it's this gel that everybody is after, and this is what is really medicinal. So now when I look at these two aloe veras, this one seems to be lighter and this one is darker, but they're all the same. And what has happened here is, I will trim it because that's broken. But I think this particular one here either had too much, water, and this is what's happened. It's the top has sort of, so when you do have your plant, you can clean it up and just cut the tips just to make it look presentable and groom it a little bit. But I think that one's fine. Now the thing about aloe veras is that they get pups. That's how you propagate. Some people do actually use the leaves for propagation purposes, where you get your leaf, cut it and let it callus, and once it's calloused and it's hard, is you just do almost the same as a snake plant. You place it in soil, and then what happens is you'll get your little pups forming here at the base. But today we're not dealing with that because it does take a while, and here I think propagation from the pups, from the mother, is a much faster method for me. So I've never really tried the leaf propagation, but I have seen that it does work. Now, what happens with an aloe vera is that, let me use this as an example. Now, these are the ones that I uprooted in the bush, and they because of no sun, they've become very spiny and tall, and there's hardly any gel in here. It's basically is because it was kept in shade. Now, if you're going to use aloe vera and try to propagate it, this is a really good example, because even though my little spiny aloe vera was not getting enough sun, you can see exactly where the pup comes. This is a baby that has just sprouted out. That was what you would use for propagation purposes. So again, now this is the base of an aloe vera. Again, you see the pups all sprouting from the side of the stem. Again, you can use those pups for propagation purposes, and especially like if you look at this one here, has already formed its own roots. So I could actually just snip that off and put it in soil like that, and it will propagate into a big aloe vera plant. Again, as I look at my aloe vera, this one had fallen down, and I'm just removing some of these leaves. This one had actually was standing upright, and it actually fell down. And so what is interesting with this aloe vera again is you could actually plant it, the stem, this way, and you will get rooting happening at the base, and you will get your pups forming. So out of all this, you could actually get quite a few aloe veras if I stuck it like that in the soil. So there's so many different methods of actually, and looking at the plant, it seems so versatile on propagation. So there are different methods that you can use, and they will work. Now, okay, let's look at the sun requirement. Basically, aloe veras are succulents. They love a dry, hot weather. And water requirement is basically is that if an aloe vera is if it doesn't receive water, it's okay. As we understand, it does store the water in its roots. So I wouldn't bother so much and be worried that in case your aloe vera hasn't had water. But generally, you should water it using the finger test. If you put your finger in the soil and the soil is dry, then I would water it. So I'd water it maybe every 3 weeks in summer. But other than that, I wouldn't bother so much. as you're propagating the pups, I would actually give a bit more water to the pups as they're growing. But after a month, I would actually not give it water because now it can actually survive on its own and it has rooting. Now, if you do keep an aloe vera inside the house and suddenly summer does come, I would just gently introduce it into your veranda and not suddenly, because the problem with aloe veras is that they do get sunburnt, they do get scorched by the sun, their leaves, and they will change color, they'll go bronze, and then you know that your aloe vera has been scorched. But I would slowly, gradually introduce your aloe vera from inside the house to outside on your patio. So basically with an aloe vera, in terms of sun, it should get at least 4 to 6 hours of sun and it will be happy. Now what happens is that when you do have them indoors, do have them near a window, but make sure they don't touch the glass or be too close to the glass because of the heat, but they should be okay. In winter time is that you can move your aloe vera to a sunnier spot in the house, but what happens is that if it doesn't get enough sun, it will go dormant and it will stop growing. So what sort of soil does it like? Aloe vera is again cactus, so I would actually either have a cactus potting soil when growing aloe veras because they don't want water around their roots, or else what I do is I just do 1 part sand, river sand, and 1 part potting soil, and I mix it all together, but it just gives it a good drainage, and also it is very the water does drain through because it has to be well draining. Now when we're talking propagation is as I mentioned to you, is that I was trying to clear up my aloe veras. I found those spiny ones which were in the bush, and suddenly I realized, oh dear, I have this aloe vera that I have had in a pot, so I need to actually propagate some of it, so I'm left with some, but then the rest of them I will give them away because it's such a lovely plant. Now what it is that initially I have the mother plant in the middle, and these are all pups that have actually developed. So what we're going to do here is actually try to break up the soil. And the thing about aloe veras is that their rooting system don't go really deep, so it should be fairly easy. And then out of this we can just grow some aloe vera here, and then the rest of it I will donate to my friends. So I am going to simply go in here and just open it up, just like that. There we are. Oh gosh. So out of this I have 1 pup, 2 pup, all this lot here actually comes, and as I flip the slugs off, actually all these pups that I'm playing around with, or let's say trying to propagate, is they come from this mother aloe vera, and look at the multitude of pups. This is over the years, but these are all pups ready to be separated and to go into their own homes. So let's just, here they all are. Do you see they're all attached to the mother? There's another pup. So all these pups they come from here. Do you see? We've just pulled them out of these areas, which is the base, and all of them just started from here. So this bit of paper. So basically, an aloe vera, there falls another pup. Aloe veras are very easy to propagate, and it's all about the pups. And that's why I find it's easier to actually take it and separate it, other than growing it from its leaf. So here we are, fellow gardeners. Thank you so much, and we will distribute all these pups and find them homes. And go and get yourself an aloe vera. And they are air purifiers, so it does work really well as an indoor plant because it does clean your house. And with that, do share, like, and press that notification, and do subscribe to our channel. We're having a lot of fun here. And don't forget, we're on Instagram, Facebook for your comments. Send me a message, DM me. I'm always there to answer you. And have a really lovely day as I distribute this. Thank you very much. Bye.